What is going on, everybody? It is your man R0B back at it again with another New York Giants video. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. We are doing a giveaway, so if we hit a thousand, I mean, that would be nice, but if we hit 100 subscribers on the channel, I'm going to be doing a $15 gift card giveaway, and that's gift card of your choice, okay? So we'll be doing a raffle, and I'll be drawing your names and everything like that, and the winner will win the gift card. So again, like, subscribe, share, turn on those bell notifications. It really, really helps me out a lot. In today's video, man, we're going to kind of be going over some of the head coaching candidates that primarily that Joe Schoen, John Mara, and Steve Tisch are looking to potentially bring in to be the next head coach for the New York Football Giants. Now, I've got about 4 here. I'm sure there will probably be more potential candidates, but from what it looks like, it seems that it's down to really probably about 2 to 3 guys. And if I had to probably pinpoint the 3, I would say it's down to Brian Flores, Brian Daboll, and Dan Quinn for the 3 head coaching job. Leslie Frazier is in there, but I don't feel that he may be potentially a finalist. I think Brian Daboll is probably the favorite to get the position, followed by Brian Flores, and then Dan Quinn being in 3rd place. So in today's video, we're just going to kind of go over each individual head coaching candidate, kind of give you a little bit of their background, and then also give you a little bit of my opinion and how I feel they would fit the Giants. Would they be beneficial? Do I want them? Do I not want them? Again, these are all just my opinions. These are not factual, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So the first candidate that we'll go ahead and we'll talk about is going to be Brian Daboll, obviously. Now, with Brian Daboll, he's been involved with the National Football League for some time now. He's 46 years old. He's out of Ontario, Canada, and he was born April 14th, 1975. I'm going to just kind of get into his pro statistics, not necessarily his high school or college statistics here. But as a coach, okay, he was a defensive assistant for the New England Patriots from 2000 to 2001. He was a wide receivers coach from 2002 to 2006. He was with the Jets from 2007 to 2008 as a quarterbacks coach. He was with the Cleveland Browns from 2009 to 2010 as an offensive coordinator. He was with the Miami Dolphins in 2011 as an offensive coordinator. He was also with the Kansas City Chiefs in 2012 as an offensive coordinator. He went back to New England from 2013 to 2016 as a tight ends coach, where then he went to Alabama in 2017, was the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach, and then from 2018 until the current time, he was with the Buffalo Bills as the offensive coordinator. Now, the guy's won 5 Super Bowl championships. Obviously, we know who that's with, is with the New England Patriots. But one thing that I'm looking at here is the guy has a lot of experience. He's worked with tight ends. He's worked with the defense. He's been a defensive assistant. He's worked with wide receivers. He's worked with quarterbacks. He's been an offensive coordinator. Now, some of the people may look at some of these lists here and say, okay, well, he was a quarterbacks coach with the Jets, but he got an offensive coordinator job with the Cleveland Browns. Okay, well, he had Derek Anderson and Brady Quinn, 2 flops at the quarterback position that really never panned out to be anything special. Then he went to Miami in 2011, which I believe in 2011, that's when they had Chad Pennington, who was a shell of himself. He had 17 shoulder surgeries and really wasn't a good player anymore, and that's kind of what he was dealing with there. Or I believe was it Chad Pennington? It might have even been Chad Henne and Matt Moore. Chad Henne and Matt Moore. Okay, then he was an offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they had Matt Castle, which was a former New England Patriot. So he had possibly maybe some familiarity with him. I don't necessarily know how much, but being a former New England guy, they brought in Matt Castle, who was an average quarterback at best, and he was using Matt Castle. So Chad Henne, Matt Moore, Matt Castle, and he had Brady Quinn, and he had Derek Anderson. Not real top-tier quarterbacks, nobody that you would even think about putting in the top 10 or maybe even in the top 25 of quarterbacks of all time. So, but obviously his main thing now, who he's working with now, is Josh Allen. And the biggest thing that I could take away is some people can say, oh, is it Josh Allen or is it Brian Daboll? And who's making who look better here? And I mean, when you look at the first couple of years when it comes to Josh Allen, Josh Allen's first couple of years were not very good when it comes from a statistic standpoint. And I didn't plan on bringing it up, but I'll actually pull it up right here for us so I could read you guys his stats at the present moment. We'll look at his career stats here. So he came into the league in 2018. That was Brian Daboll's first year as the offensive coordinator. And he threw for 2,074 yards. He had 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He played in 12 games. He had a 52.8 passer rating or completion percentage. Not very good. Not very good at all. The following year in 2019, he threw for 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. All right, so he doubled his touchdowns. He lowered his interceptions a little bit, threw for some more yards, and he played in 16 full games. And he got up his completion percentage slightly at 58.7%. So you can kind of see a little bit of that improvement there, okay? He also had 146 first downs in his second year, where he had 89 in his first year. Okay, so... And he was averaging 6.5 yards a pass in his rookie season, and then he went up to 6.7. Now comes 2020, okay? 2020, he threw for 4,544 yards. He threw for 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Okay, so now he's almost tripled, okay, or quadrupled his touchdown total from his rookie season. His interceptions stayed only about one more, 2 less than his rookie year, 1 more than his sophomore year, okay? And he had a 69.23 completion percentage, and he averaged 7.9 yards per pass. And he had 228 first downs. His first down percentage was 39.8. Okay? Now we're going into this year where he played 17 games. He had a 63.3% completion percentage, so it went down a little bit. But he had 4,407 yards passing. He had 36 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So he had threw 5 more interceptions than he did last year, almost the same amount of touchdowns, but he had 234 first downs, and first down percentage was 36.22. But the biggest thing here is 20-plus yard passes. He had 51 this year, 62 the previous year, 47 his sophomore year, and his freshman year, or his rookie year, he had 30. Now, here's the key here, sacks, okay? He was sacked 28 times his rookie year, 38 times his second year, 26 last year, and 26 this year, okay? And his QB rating, which was a 67.9 his rookie year, went up to 85.3, then 107.2, and then 92.2. And he was a game away from going to the conference championship game. So in my mind there, it looks like Brian Daboll had, now, you could say 50-50. Maybe something clicked with Josh Allen. But I do think that Brian Daboll had a hand in changing who he was. And he had accuracy issues. They worked on that. He was able to change that. Brian Daboll worked with him. And he definitely made some progress. Now, I mean, you could say this. If Brian Daboll comes to the New York Giants and he changes Daniel Jones, and now Daniel Jones is turning around and he's looking fantastic, you have to think that Brian Daboll had something to do with it, right? So, to me personally, Brian Daboll is definitely the front runner. He's the guy that I'd like to have the New York Giants bring in and really kind of take over this team. I do feel that we do need an offensive-minded head coach and somebody that's going to take some time. I thought Pat Shurmur was a great fit for the offensive coordinator position. Obviously, that didn't work out for obvious reasons. I thought, Ben McAdoo was a good offensive coordinator. Our team was really moving the football and doing well. Obviously, that didn't work out. So, but I do think that we do need an offensive-minded coach, somebody that's going to come in. And the biggest thing is, like Joe Shane said today in his press conference, is that he wants somebody that is going to go ahead and be like-minded with him. They're going to be on the same page. They're going to have the same vision. They're going to understand each other and how to build this roster. And I think that all leads to Brian Daboll, in my personal opinion, okay? We're going to go on to the next contestant here, and that is going to be Mr. Brian Flores. Okay, Mr. Brian Flores. So we'll go over and we'll talk about his professional achievements here. So as a coach, he was with New England from 2008 to 2009 as a special teams assistant. Then he was with the New England Patriots as an assistant offense and special teams coach in 2010. He then became a defensive assistant in 2011 for the New England Patriots. He became a safeties coach in 2012 to 2015 for the New England Patriots. He became a linebackers coach in 2016 to 2018 for the New England Patriots. He was then the head coach for the Miami Dolphins in 2019 to 2021, where he was then released. So now Brian Flores really had a hand in calling the defensive plays from 2016 to 2018. Yes, he was labeled as a linebackers coach, but he was the one that was calling the plays. He also, as an executive, from 2004 to 2005, he was a scouting assistant for the New England Patriots, and he was a pro scout from 2006 to 2007 for the New England Patriots. Now, the New England Patriots did draft some pretty good players that ended up panning out, but we all know how New England Patriot players go. They play great in New England, they go to another team, and they don't really play good. They go back to New England, and they play like superstars. So, but with Brian Flores, he does, come with some very nice credentials, all of which was with New England. He didn't really bounce around and have success with other organizations, which I like it. I like a coach that's been around the block. He's 40 years old. He's from Brooklyn, New York. He was born February 24th, 1981. And so when it comes to that, he really doesn't have much experience around the league. Now, he's got some experience when it comes to scouting, pro scout, and different positions on defense. He's definitely a defensive guy. But when you look at a guy like Brian Daboll or comparing him to Brian Daboll has worked with tight ends. He's worked with wide receivers. He's worked with quarterbacks. He's worked with college. He's worked with pros. He's been an offensive coordinator for four different teams. He was an offensive coordinator for the Dolphins. He was an offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He was an offensive coordinator now for the Bills. 3 different teams. So he's been around the block, and he's been with different teams, and he's been a part of different organizations. So he's had the ability to see what works, what doesn't work, and been able to kind of adapt his coaching based upon where he's been. And with Brian Flores, all he knows is New England. Now, do I think that he is a respected guy? Do I think that he would potentially be a good fit for the New York Football Giants? Absolutely. Do I think that he would be respected in the locker room? And he would be somebody that the New York Giants and the players would want to fight for? Absolutely, for multiple reasons. One, he did a great job with Miami. 2, he's a man of color, right? So obviously, that having that there is huge, right? To have a coach of color in your organization, I think that would definitely move a lot of people, and people would rally behind that and want to play hard for the man. And I do agree with that 100%. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity. I think that he would be a good coach. Is he who I think we should go with? No. But do I think that he's a good coach? Absolutely. Do I think that he would have success with us? Absolutely. But I mean, I really necessarily think that on all essence that if you were going to be bringing him in, you'd be bringing in Deshaun Watson, and that would be the sole reason why you were bringing him in. Moving on to the next contestant here, which is going to be Dan Quinn. Now, Dan Quinn has been, obviously, is another one who's been around the league for quite some time, right? Dan Quinn is 51 years old, okay? He's from Morristown, New Jersey, so another New Jersey native here, okay? He was born September 11th, 1970, okay? I'm just going to start as far as when it comes to his pro background here, okay? He was a defensive quality control coach for the San Francisco 49ers from 2001 to 2002. He was a defensive line coach for the San Francisco 49ers from 2003 to 2004. He was a defensive line coach for the Miami Dolphins from 2005 to 2006. He was with the Jets from 2007 to 2008 as a defensive line coach as well. Then he went to the Seattle Seahawks in 2009 to 2010. He was the assistant head coach and the defensive line coach. Then he went to Florida from 2011 to 2012, where he was the defensive coordinator and defensive line coach. He went back to Seattle from 2013 to 2014, where he was the defensive coordinator. And then he became the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons from 2015 to 2020. Okay? Obviously, he went to the Super Bowl there, but he was a Super Bowl champion with the Seattle Seahawks. And then he's currently with the Dallas Cowboys from 2001 until today as the defensive coordinator. So again, New Jersey native as well as Brian Flores. He's from Brooklyn. He's from Morristown. So they are familiar with the area. I believe they both are Giants fans. And they both know Joe Schoen. I believe Dan Quinn knows Joe Schoen a little bit more than he does, obviously, from his time working with Miami when Joe Schoen was there, as well as Brian Daboll worked with, Joe Schoen when he was with Miami. But when it comes to Dan Quinn, I mean, Dan Quinn had success when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. I do think a lot of that had to do with the fact of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and the players that they had there in place. But for the most part, I don't necessarily see Dan Quinn being a good fit. I think that he's a great defensive coordinator. Absolutely. If we were talking about bringing in Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator, I'd be all over it. 100%. You could see, and I would definitely be all over that, strictly for the simple fact is when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and what they were able to do this year, they've been a joke on defense the last last few years, honestly. And Dan Quinn came in this year and they turned that thing around, and were really kind of in your face, go get it type of football team. And you had guys like Randy Gregory that were stepping up, DeMarcus Lawrence that was playing well. You had Micah Parsons, the rookie, that was playing fantastic. Their linebackers were playing good. Their defensive backs were getting all over the field. So, to me, if we were talking about bringing him in as a defensive coordinator, I'd be all over it. But when it comes to a head coach, not really feeling it. Do I think that he'll be head coach somewhere? Absolutely. Do I think that he's fit for the Giants? Absolutely not. I don't feel like he's the type of guy that we should be bringing in. If we're going to be bringing in a defensive guy, I'd rather bring in a guy like Brian Flores if we're going to be bringing a defensive guy in, not Dan Quinn. But for this, like I said, I feel like he's a great coach, great guy. He has some accolades, obviously, and he's had some success when you look at what he was doing from a defensive standpoint with Seattle, and also Atlanta had a pretty good defense in the times that he was there. And then obviously we see with Dallas, we could see the trend there that he's good when it comes to defense, but about bringing in those right guys. Majority of the time with Atlanta, he had Mike Shanahan, or Kyle Shanahan, as his offensive coordinator. So, that's something that you want to kind of count, take into account there. So, do I think that he would be a fit for the Giants? No. But are they interviewing him? Yes. If they hired him, would I be happy? No. Do I feel like he's a head coach in this league? Yes, but not for the New York Giants. All right, and on to the last one we have is Leslie Frazier. Now, Leslie Frazier's been around the league as well. Again, I'm just going to kind of focus on, his accolades here. He's 62 years old. He's born April 3rd, 1959, out of Columbus, Mississippi. Okay. Now, he started with the Philadelphia Eagles as far as for his pro career in 1999. Now, he was a player for the Chicago Bears from 1981 to 1985. He was a defensive backs coach for the Philadelphia Eagles from 1999 to 2002. He was a defensive coordinator for the Bengals in 2003 and 2004. He was the Indianapolis defensive assistant in 2005. He was the Indianapolis assistant head coach and defensive backs coach in 2006. He was with the Minnesota Vikings in 2007 as the defensive coordinator. And then from 2008 to 2010, he was the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. He then became the interim head coach for the Minnesota Vikings in 2010, where he then became officially the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings from 2011 to 2013. He then went to Tampa Bay as the defensive coordinator from 2014 to 2015, and then went to the Then he went to the Baltimore Ravens in 2016 as the secondaries coach, where he then left there, went to the Buffalo Bills in 2017, and became an assistant head coach and a defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, and that is where he remains today. Now, obviously, Buffalo has been doing some amazing things on the defensive side of the football. We could put into question about this past game, about 13 seconds, and how you let Patty Mahomes. Was it bad play calling by Leslie Frazier, or was it just that Patty Mahomes is just that good? I think it's a little bit of both. But has Leslie Frazier done some pretty good things in his career? Absolutely. When he was with the head coach, he was with Minnesota Vikings for a short time. I don't necessarily think it was just due to a lack of production on the offensive side of the football, and they really weren't doing very much with it. And I think they wanted to go ahead and bring somebody in that was going to try to really change and get that offense going and supplement and bring a guy in there. Hence why they brought in, I believe it was Mike Zimmer at that time. And their offense went ahead and was doing really, really well, and their defense was still playing good. And they were in the playoffs a couple of times and so on and so forth. So then he bounced around, obviously, through Tampa Bay, through Baltimore, and then obviously landed with the Bills in 2017, and he's been doing a fairly good job. They have some really nice players there, on the defensive side of the ball. Do I think that he would be a good fit? Again, he's a defensive guy. I think that he would probably be a little bit of a better fit as an as a head coach than Dan Quinn would be. I would probably take Leslie Frazier over Dan Quinn. But Brian Flores would probably be, if I was going to go with a defensive guy, Brian Flores would definitely be my guy. All in all, again, does he deserve to be a head coach in the National Football League again, get a second chance? I definitely think so. I definitely think that he deserves to get that shot. Will it be with the New York Giants? Not too sure. Do I want it to be? Absolutely not. Out of all of these guys that we talked about, to me, Brian Daboll fits the mold. When you look at and you just listen to the press conference today by Joe Shane, he clearly stated, and it was very, very clear to me, that Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are going to be on this roster going into next year. And his thing is he wants to keep Daniel Jones on his feet, and he wants to be able to block for Saquon. So it's very, very clear that those are the guys moving forward. And to me, that is a tall tale sign that if you're going to be keeping those guys, and you're going to be keeping Daniel Jones, and you're going to be keeping Saquon Barkley, Brian Daboll is going to be the guy that's going to be coming in here. It makes all the sense. You're planning on keeping him. You want Brian Daboll to come in. You want him to be able to change around and change Daniel Jones' career, just like you did with Josh Allen when people thought we were getting ready to write him off, thinking that he was a bust and he wasn't going to amount to anything and he was just going to be an average quarterback. And now he's a top 5 quarterback in the AFC, potentially a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So clearly, it's going to be Brian Daboll. I'm calling it now. We'll probably hear something by the end of this week. I'm assuming that by Friday, again, Brian Daboll will be named the new head coach for the New York Football Giants. And if that's the plan to where they're going to be keeping Daniel Jones and they're going to be keeping Saquon Barkley, that's the move. That's the smart move. That's the way that they should do it. But that's who I think they should go with. I think it has to be Brian Daboll. You have to bring in that guy. You have to give him the opportunity to try to fix your quarterback. So you need to find out. And even John Mayer said it today. They've done every single thing possible they could to screw over Daniel Jones with the lack of turnover, with the changing of the offensive coordinators. They haven't given him any type of continuity. They haven't been able to give him a stable environment where he can come in, learn a system, and stick with that system. And the biggest thing is they haven't addressed the offensive line and given him an opportunity to protect him to see what he's capable of doing. If he's running for his life every single time or he's getting sacked and guys aren't getting open and guys aren't able to block because you're not able to run the football and teams know you can't run the football, so they know you're going to pass it, and then your offensive line can't block, what are you supposed to do? So, all in all, I definitely feel that, Brian Daboll, like I said, is going to be the guy going forward. I feel like he is going to be the guy, and rightfully so. He needs to be the guy. So that's all I have. That's the breakdown of the 4 candidates that we've got and who I think is going to be the next head coach. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did like the video, be sure to like the video, subscribe down below, make sure you turn on those bell notifications so you guys know that every time that I upload a video. Remember, we're doing that $15 giveaway if we hit 100 subscribers on the channel. It is free to subscribe, guys, so just hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below. I do like to read everybody's comment. I will like your comment. I will respond to you. And also be sure to follow me on my socials. So you must be following me on Twitter, and you must be following, liking, and subscribing to the YouTube channel to be entered into the $15 giveaway if we hit 100 subscribers on the channel. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.